Hey there, Toonami faithful, and welcome back aboard Toonami Absolution, the show where we talk about the shows that made us us and the shows that made you you. Once again, we are your hosts. My name is Alyx.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John, and we're back to Space Ghost for season 2. This is going to be a bit weird. We're doing it in broadcast order, which we'll get to. So we're starting off with President's Day Nightmare, or first annual world premiere Toon-In, which made its debut February 20th, 1995, and Storybook, or Storybook House, which debuted March 17th, 1995.
Yeah, the first one's interesting, right? Especially if you're a big fan of Cartoon Network or just cart animation in general in the 90s, because you kind of get this like grab bag episode, including some shows that really became major Cartoon Network franchises, at least during this era. It was kind of fun to see that, that early glimpse at some of these shows.
Yeah,
God,
this
look how
is.
young those guys were.
They're
Genndy
very young.
Tartakovsky, especially, right? I've interviewed him for like Primal, 30 plus years later. And so, but yeah, seeing like babyface Tartakovsky, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so this was a backdoor pilot, effectively. So originally, because the thing they talked about earlier on, they said this is being simulcast on Cartoon Network, TBS, and TNT. That isn't a joke. That actually is what was happening. This is why this is a full regulation 21 minutes, not the 10 we're used to. So the idea was world premiere Toon-In would become what a cartoon later became. So basically, a variety show where we can basically get our new animators to do different pilots, and then if one does well, it becomes one of Cartoon Network's cartoons, as in one of our homegrowns. The original plan was this was going to be feature Moxie from the Moxie Show, and it was going to be hosted by them, but they changed it at some point and went for Space Ghost instead. And yeah, this has. So the reason we're talking about broadcast order is because this had a weird release history because of all the different cartoons ended up getting their own thing. So this first came out on DVD on the Volume 3 DVD as a bonus feature with all the cartoon clips removed and some other bits snipped out here and there. But so yeah, this is the was the first in broadcast order, though technically it's not technically a Space Ghost episode.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If you're like me and you have the digital re-releases that came out not too long ago, actually. This is the first episode of what they call season two. It's the President's Day special, I think, as they term it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's really just Space Ghost and Zorak and so and to a degree I think is this the first Brock? Is this
Yes,
Brack?
This is the first
Brock?
Brack, yeah.
this
Yeah.
this is the
And we get
first of
some of
these.
the other Space Ghost villains, like Black Widow and Metallo, who is I think the funniest one.
Sure.
Yeah, Black Widow, Lokar, Brack, Transit, Metallus, they all come for this. They're all the judges of this talent show. As I mentioned when we did season 1, Black Widow is Judy Tenuta, who was one of the first guests on Space Ghost. Didn't do a great job in that episode, but does a quite good job as Black Widow. She works quite well when not herself.
Don't we
The
all
little
work better when we're not ourselves?
I mean, that's very fair.
I'm totally fictional, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, John only exists on the internet, you guys.
I'm
It's just
hatching
been me and
immediately,
Alex
basically.
talking the entire time.
I was dead all along. Sorry, that's the twist.
Oh man, just like Iraqi, you spoiled the Sixth Sense for all of Japan. But I like the little song that they get. The judges get a song, which is very funny. Brack doesn't seem to know the lyrics very well.
Which is on
And then
brand.
you have Lokar, the locust version of Zorak.
Who is clearly from like a couple of years after Zorak, because he is so much smoother in his anime. You can clearly see which one was designed later.
Yeah.
Very high res. Yeah, he's in 1080p as opposed to the 240p that Zorak is in.
And just he's very rap. Like I love Black Widow in this because she's because Black Widow is clearly a Vampirella knockoff. And here it really shows because like you've got like, oh, this is what sort of modern animation looks like. Then there's these guys.
And you have Metallo just like doing the Loki noise the entire time, which is very funny. But the judge, it was interesting seeing these very influential animation directors at like the beginning. I remember that Lindbergher cheese cartoon sticks out in my brain so much.
Oh, the Yucky Duck.
Yucky Duck, yeah, that sticks out in my brain in such an insane way.
It's kind of funny when you go back to this is that there's some of these shows are like the biggest things ever, and there are two that are just kind of just were nothings. Because like Craig McCracken is here for the Powerpuff Girls, he eventually wins, and the last part of the episode is just Meet Fuzzy Lumpkins in full. Pat Ventura is doing Yucky Duck, where they made two shorts for What a Cartoon, but need to be charitable. Yucky Duck is of its time. It just feels like Ren and Stimpy. Van Partible's here doing Johnny Bravo, which became a big thing. Gino Mattis is then doing Shake and Flickin', which is his cartoon about a dog and a flea, which again, good luck. I had trouble even finding that cartoon. Yeah. And then, Tartakovsky's here with Dexter's Lab. It's like, oh, 3 of you will go on to great things. 2 of you...
Oh... But it's fascinating because it's also original voice actor on Dee Dee, which I forgot was
that took me all the way back.
Yeah, this was one of those kind of like Ratatouille, like bring back moments where it's just like you go back and the Limburger cheese, Alyx, and to your point, John, very much of its time, gross out humor. It's Ren and Stimpy. It's all real monsters all over again.
Cow and chicken.
Yeah, Cow and Chicken, which at least got a show.
What I'd forgotten is that the Powerpuff Girls used to have like long legs in the pilot. They're like tall. It's worrying.
Brack's little freak out over the Powerpuff Girls and their big bug eyes is actually very funny. It's actually an incredible, like a weirdly funny bit in this episode.
I think that's got funnier with time, again, because of the fact that they look. The only big difference with the Powerpuff Girls in that pilot and later on is the fact that their legs they're not like small. They have like longer legs. So the big eyes is weird because that's just what Powerpuff Girls are. So he's doing that and I'm there like, why do they have legs? Why do they have knees?
This isn't right. This isn't okay.
Why are we seeing the mayor's face? Why is the mayor a normal man? What's going on?
Well, that was the previous mayor, he got voted.
Yeah.
He died. Yeah.
He got implicated.
Can really quick, just to talk about the Fuzzy Lumpkins thing really quick.
Sure. I know where you're going with it.
The quickness that he jumps from losing the jam competition to cannibalism. Like I didn't notice it as a kid, but as an adult, I'm like, that's a really quick jump to cannibalism.
Well, the other question there is, does that mean that like Fuzzy Lumpkins was eaten, digested, and reformed as Fuzzy Lumpkins?
Probably.
Yes. Yes. I'm gonna go with yes. It feels like such a big swing,
Yeah, but to your point, you kind of get the impression that Fuzzy Lumpkins was kind of really just waiting for an excuse to do cannibalism. Everything else was kind of just sort of corpus belly, setting up a reason to do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's his Parabellum. That's it.
That's his Parabellum.
It's also I think the most 90s-esque of its era Powerpuff Girls premise, where like everything is, I feel like, and you guys can back me up on this, and this is going to sound maybe weird out of context, but did we have like an obsession with like meat in the 90s?
Yes.
Like just like meat products.
It was Atkins time, baby.
It was Atkins time. I presume the CIA were involved somewhere down the line, like with Bacon in 2010, where it was the beef farmers of America, the pork farmers of America had a surplus again.
I think there was like a beef farmers of America thing going on, but also like again, the 90s was the era of the Atkins diet. Like people were just eating a bunch of meat and being told that it's not going to cause a heart attack. You know what I mean?
Also, keep in mind this was in Europe, the era of mad cow disease and foot and mouth disease. So there was a deliberate push by farmers after this to try and encourage people that meat is safe again. There's a famous picture of a few European politicians all eating hamburgers. It's a hilarious photo if you look it up to try and. There's one of the guy feeding his kid a hamburger to prove, like, if would I feed my kid something that will kill them? It's like, today it's a very funny little moment in history.
Yeah, it's just like I feel like there was something that. I feel like even beyond this episode, there was like a lot of meat in animated series and
Cow and Chicken had the thing with all like the hot dogs. I think Ren and Stimpy had like its own thing. There was. You're right. I'm thinking about it now, and there was a lot of like meat product being pushed at the time.
I think it also makes sense for gross out humor because you get a lot of fun, ugly, disgusting sounds and gore that is not gore in the eyes of the censors.
And vegans hadn't been invented yet.
Yeah.
Like,
they hadn't.
That was brand new for the Toonami. That was a post 9/11 thing.
I do have to say, I feel bad saying this, but my God, some of these guys sucked on camera.
Sure. Yeah.
I pity. You can really tell in this episode that these are not just like, we haven't cut the questions up, we've cut up individual sentences because we keep jumping from them really quickly. There's some bits that are clearly just them talking before they start performing. I think it's Ventura. You can see like turn on and off while he's playing. It's I get it. I feel bad saying, because these are just directors, they're not comedians, but they really struggle here. They don't work. Space Ghost is a kind of an odd host for it for that reason, because he is surrealist and it's very hard to pin down how to react. Well, I mean, we saw this season 1. Even actual comedians were having problems with him. So I hate to feel how like someone like Craig McCracken, like young Craig McCracken, felt, being like, go on.
I think young Craig McCracken, you know, it seems like he kind of had the easiest time of all of them, like comparatively, like except for maybe the Johnny Bravo director whose name is escaping me, because he had the Danish and they could play off of the cheese Danish that he
Van
was
Partible. Yeah.
Like they had that, but like McCracken, he came out in his winning swimsuit, so like I kind of got the impression that he wasn't doing great, but he was doing he definitely did better than Ventura.
Ventura was struggling, bless his heart. There's also was a lot of costumes in this, which makes me wonder if they did this have the dressing up box out that day, because one of them is wearing like I desperately wanted to find out if is it Genndy Mattos if his shirt was his own shirt, or if he got it from a dressing up box, because it was the most your 90s dad shirt, like this weird like bold abstract patterns thing, but slightly dull.
Yeah, it was like the shirt that Rocco wears in Rocco's Modern Life.
There was part of me that kind of wanted to send an email to his press people, like, but I did think, hey, in the 90s, was that your shirt on Space Ghost? Maybe get me on a list somewhere. So I'm not going to risk.
No, you should send that email. See if they'll send you the shirt.
It still smells of Space Ghost.
Yeah.
Cheese Danish.
It's the Adult Swim carpet now.
Yeah. It's framed in a Planet Hollywood in like Inglewood or something. So some forgotten part of Southern California.
You're right. This was like a dress-up episode. You had the swimsuit. You had the one guy in like a pseudo Star Trek outfit. Like you had the fun pattern shirt. He was trying to do some Shatner thing that I think he thought was going to be funny.
Yeah, it didn't work.
It didn't work. I think he wasn't confident enough in the bit.
Even all this said, I still think this episode is the stronger of the two that we're covering this week.
Disagree.
The other one's super forgettable at best, right?
I like the second one. It's actually one of my
favorites. Really? Okay.
Okay, I will admit, if we're talking about the second one, sometimes when I watch these, I am engaged with the Kooky Kaiser's Criminal Kale when I first do my watch through. And the Kooky Kaiser did not understand what was going on in the second episode. I would not say that it is forgettable. I would say that it reminded me of, okay, this is a deep cut. Remember on Adult Swim when they would show the O Canada cartoons?
Sure.
And how insane and weird and experimental all that reminded me so much of like an O Canada cartoon. Like The Cat Came Back still lives in my brain rent free. But yeah, like that's what that reminded me of. It's a weird one, and
because it is Canadian.
It's Canadian.
Everyone be upstanding. Yes, this is so Storybook. For you haven't seen it, we get a lovely episode with a man who calls himself the Kirk the Storyteller, who's going to tell us stories of Space Ghost. He retells the stories of Banjo and Batmantis while an artist draws pictures. The production on this is quite fun. The DVD commentary by Keith Crawford, Mike Lazo, Dave Willis, and Matt Malero. They basically say, this was our first cheater. This was the first cheater, which meant we were tired, we didn't know what we were doing, and we decided basically to just kind of sleepwalk through a show. We were fresh off our premiere season of 10 whopping episodes, so we deserved a break. That's right, and it only took us about 2.5 years to do that first season. This episode only aired in full once, by the way.
Oh.
Footage from the first half is used later in L'Île Verte History, which is another weird episode. But so, Kirk the Storyteller is a guy called James Kirkconnell. So this show you're seeing, Storybook House, was a real Canadian kids show. It was this format, just with actual fairy tales like Aladdin, Cinderella. He also hosted a public access show in Philadelphia in the 50s. Story is that he sent a tape to Cartoon Network of Storybook House to try and get them to pick it up in America. Cartoon Network didn't like it, but the Space Ghost guys saw it and basically fell in love with the dude and basically had an episode to go to Toronto to film with him. So literally they went to a public access station in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada, just outside Toronto, and over the course of 4 hours filmed this entire thing. The cheapest episode in Space Ghost history, only costing $20,000 all in.
That's crazy cheap.
And most of that was probably on the travel.
Is that converted to Canadian dollars?
I don't. They don't specify you. This is on the DVD commentary, so I'm presuming American.
Yeah. It's weird because these two episodes, and John, you were kind of touching on the weird broadcast history. The way that it's edited for like Fandango at home is that you get the a bit of the Jim Carrey interview.
Yes, which would also then later reappear in the Historia episode.
Yeah.
That episode is made up of basically all the stuff we can't show for some reason.
Yeah, it's the forbidden tome, the forbidden crockpot of clips.
Yeah, basically, the original airing of Storybook is just exactly just the two stories with the storyteller and the artist, nothing else.
Yeah,
it's a weird one. It sure is. Like I would say that, like, you know, the director's episode is cool. It's a cool little event. Like I have vague memories of this event. This particular episode where they're drawing and they're telling me the story, the unbroken eye contact with the camera, I think, was probably what was making my elevated brain a little confused. Like, are you talking to me directly?
Please stop. I saw the TV glow and it told me about Space Ghost. So what's really interesting is, so I haven't been able to find any of Storybook House. I have looked and looked and looked. Apparently I can't find any episode. If anyone has one, I would love to see it. But the guys in the DVD commentary note, the staring at the camera, not blinking, isn't a Space Ghost thing. That's just how he is. I will give them credit when they're talking about Kurt McConnell in the commentary. They're just in love with the guy. They're so nice. A big part of the commentary is like, he took me out to dinner afterwards and would not let me pay, despite the fact I'm like, we have Cartoon Network money. Cartoon Network will pay. But he's like, wouldn't it? That's why they originally wanted him in Aqua Team Hunger Force as well. Joe, the restaurant owner in the very first episode, was going to be Kirk, because it's going to be this guy, but he died in 2001. So, and they even say that in the commentary. It's like, if he was alive today, he would be in every show we did. Just full stop. They just really like it. So it's really cute. But yeah, this is certainly, I think this loses something if you watch it via DVD, because this would hit really cool in that Adult Swim thing of just, this comes on, you're unsure, is this a broadcasting mess up? Am I on the wrong channel? Like, I think this works better as something you find, not something you watch.
Yeah.
Like, this kind of makes me think of what would sort of like off the air as like unedited footage of a bear and this house has people, and it would become later. Where it's like, we're not going to tell you exactly what's going on and you're going to find it out as you go.
See, this feels like 420 content to me, which would very much impact Adult Swim going forward, because Aqua Teen Hunger Force is a 420 show. Like, there are certain shows, like C-Lab 2021 is a 420 show. Like, this had that 420, hey, we're going to mess with the Kooky Kaiser's court today. Like, that's really what we were going for, and I appreciated it. I did wake up this morning after having watched it the first time a little elevated, being like, is that really what happened? And I watched it again on my commute in, and I was like, no, that is really what happened. You remembered that correctly.
You didn't have the urge to enjoy some hand-drawn art?
The hand-drawn art was actually pretty cool. Like, I think the concept is really neat. I would love to see some of, if you get your hands on those episodes, I'd love to see.
And if anyone has one, please let me know, because I'm desperate. I also have to see this show. I did find a listing for the show hosted in Philadelphia in the 50s, where apparently had two puppets with him as sidekicks, one of whom is called Scary the Spider, and my new life goal is to locate Scary the Spider.
Were they horrifying in the way that all 1950s puppets were?
All I have is one Philadelphia local paper with a TV listing and a description, and it's not even an episode. It's just the generic story time with his puppet friends.
Is this lost media? Is this episode of Space Ghost the only remnant of this in the
I
public
don't want to
eye?
declare it is, but it certainly isn't easily available online via any of my usual sources. And usually, the people I tap up for weird tapes have given me glazed looks. And these people have found me some weird shit in the past. So when I get glazed looks from them, I start wondering.
We have to find somebody who was growing up in Canada watching this show.
Uh, I did check actually with some people from Oshawa, and no, I couldn't. It's some people of the right age; they didn't remember it either. One person had vague recollections of it, but believes I may have given them a false memory. So
This is what the podcast is now. I was trying to track this down.
me
Yeah.
me messaging people I know in Oshawa, being like, "Do you remember a story show?" And getting back, why?
Why?
I just really enjoy the concept. I enjoy the messing around. Oh, and as a by the way, the reason it's Banjo and Batmantis is because those were the two episodes that they got the best reviews when they first aired.
Hmm.
I get
And
that.
via the commentary, we do get a nice fun fact. Weird Al was the first person to demand to be on Space Ghost, according to the developers.
I mean, it's within his it's
This is
certainly
wheelhouse.
in his wheelhouse, right?
Oh yeah. It just,
Yeah.
they make a point in the commentary. They actually stop when he's drawing Weird Al and point out, yeah, he was the first guy to actually say, "I want to be on Space Ghost."
Hmm.
That's cool. That feels very Weird Al, but that's so cool. I like that.
Yeah, I think it's a precursor to the Weird Al show, right?
I
Which would have been,
think so.
yeah, it would have been right around that same general time.
Was
Mid-90s.
was real Space Ghost ever on Weird Al show? It feels like that would have been a thing that they did as a joke at least once, but I don't think they ever did.
I don't think they ever had like a crossover, no.
Mm.
I
Um,
feel like people dressed up as Space Ghost running around in certain shows showed up a couple of times in the late 90s.
If it was going to be on any show, it'd be on Weird Al because that show is, how do we put this lovingly, off the wall,
Weird, mayhaps?
weird, and exceptionally cheap.
yeah, he's not normal Al.
It's not normal Al. It's not average Al. It's Weird Al. Things
Typical ordinary Al.
It's Weird Al and the money he can find on the back of the couch.
Ordinary Al is my Chip Tunes cover of Weird Al Yankovic.
He would have seen his resurgence right around this time too, with like Bad Hair Day and like his, Amish Paradise and all that good stuff. Um, that was a big shot in the arm because wasn't we're in a post UHF Weird Al world at this in this era. I love that movie, by the way. I love that.
UHF is very good. It's also we're about to hit the point where he transitions his hair as well, where he loses sort of the massive curly afro and
Goes for the
gets to
Grows
the
it
more
out.
modern Al look we all know and love.
yeah.
We've moved away from the teasing of the 1980s into like the effortless ringlet curls of the 1990s.
You know what,
He was that close to getting the Rachel.
Yeah, he's about 3 years away from ditching the mustache too.
Yeah, that's right. The clean shaven Al, the poodle Al, if you will.
Where his face suddenly gets very long.
Yeah, that's
Face
the
does get suddenly very long.
That's why you
That
need the-
mustache hit a
yeah.
lot of that mustache was the house of leaves of his face. It made everything an inch smaller on each end.
Yeah. So I guess we'll get to this in a couple of weeks, but they reuse a significant portion of this.
We'll
It's
get
just
to watch it
like,
again.
isn't it? Yeah, it's odd. It's like the same season you're going to get a clip show from a short season. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
This is only it's kind of funny because this didn't get its own DVD release because it is such a short season. It is 9 episodes if you include Toon-In, which a lot of the early home stuff didn't because it was in rights hell. So it's 8 episodes, one of which is this, and another one of this is half of this with a DVD extra from season 1.
Dang, I didn't know we were going to be getting back into Beast Wars that quickly.
We are going to get through this. We are still going to be working on Yu Yu Hakusho season 1. Hakusho, Yu Yu Hakusho in season 1. By the time we finish Space, for me, it's always just kind of like a cozy, like let's take a breather and just watch Space Go.
Let's just enjoy some Space Ghost. I'm gonna be so real with the both of you right now. I'm gonna have an emotionally vulnerable moment. I would indulge in the Cookie Kaiser on my couch with you guys and watch Space Ghost. I would absolutely do that.
But
Yeah,
only this
I
episode
would
on
do it
loop.
with Yu Yu Hakusho too.
Hell yeah.
Just
Yeah.
this, just Story House, just never ending.
Yeah.
Story House never ending on loop. I would have to
Yeah.
bust out the good stuff.
Honestly surprised they never did Story House of Story House, because that feels like such an obvious joke. I'm just surprised that they probably because this episode didn't do very well.
There you go.
Are you familiar with Sartre's concept of the simulacrum by any chance?
Every season, just do it again.
Yeah.
But so the drawings get slowly more warped over time. No, you'll note that we'll be going forward. We'll be seeing a lot of jokes. Captain Andy, when we see him later on, will specifically his whole sort of villainy arc starts because he tried to watch the new Space Coast episode and it was a bad rehash of 2 old episodes, which is linking to this. So I think even the Space Ghost crew were kind of aware this wasn't what people wanted from them. It's what I wanted from them, but I can't be trusted.
You know, I can appreciate people just doing the art for the art's sake. Like, they don't care if people are gonna like it. We're just gonna do it because we want to do it. And you know what? Honestly, I think that's my favorite thing about this idea is because you can't get away with that crap anymore. You can't just say, hey, I want to make this, I want to put it out there, and maybe 5 other freaks are going to enjoy it, but that's just for me and those 5 freaks. You can't do that anymore. And I genuinely love the chutzpah of that.
Yeah, I think this is one of those, especially when you're working with such a short season, like John was saying, it's like, okay, what are we gonna burn for episode 2? It's like, well, we got this like really like kind of like avant-garde surrealist, and it's just a rehash of 2 episodes we already did. Like, oh, okay. Let's do it.
Do it. But
You know, yeah, and then we're gonna reuse clips of it for another episode in about 3 weeks. Oh, okay. Sounds great.
gotta keep it cheap. Keep circulating the tape.
Yeah.
But what are our final thoughts, my friends?
It's good to be back in the Space Ghost world, you know. Space Ghost Coast to Coast has always kind of been a constant for me, at least ever since like the early to mid 90s. So coming back to this, it was like reuniting with an old friend again. And it's like, hey man, I always like kind of coming back to, you know, to Space Ghost and I don't like leaving unfinished business. And, you know, that's why I wanted to come back and chances are, you know, however many months down the line, I'll come back to season 3.
These are 2 very odd episodes. While President's Day Nightmare has issues, I would say it doesn't really work with what they were trying to do. I don't think it works effectively as a way to pilot these directors to the audience. It is worth watching now for the history, just to see, like, you know, guys like Craig McCracken being treated as like the newcomer, meek little puppy underdogs. When you look, yeah, him and Tartakovsky now are just like rolling in pits of money and are the elder state. It's fun to see them when they were awkward and strange. I will accept Storybook House is not for everyone, but that is the kind of stuff I love. It's the new comedy. Just let's throw the format out the window and do whatever that I wish more shows could do now. It's really become the thing of YouTube more than broadcast TV. But this lays the foundation for sort of the Adult Swim stuff I love going forward, which is where Adult Swim decides we're a TV network, we have total control. Why are we following normal scheduling? Why are we making regular shows? Let's just throw things at the wall and see what sticks. And sometimes it goes really well. Sometimes it doesn't go as well. But even when it doesn't go as well, I admire that they're trying something.
Yeah. Like my final thoughts are basically the same there. I admire the massive swings that Space Ghost Coast to Coast is actually taking. Like, you know, the President's Day Nightmare, President's Day Massacre. Oh my God.
I kept doing that.
President's Day Nightmare, you know, there are things about it that don't work. It's a little weird to air it that way, but I can't think of another thing that was doing that at the time. Like, I can't think of a lot of stuff that was simulcasting that wasn't like the Super Bowl or like major political or sporting events. So doing something like that with cartoons, that's insane for this period of time. Doing something like the storybook thing is kind of insane. And it makes me very happy that it happened, but it also makes me very sad in the modern era that such genuine creativity doesn't get the spotlight that it deserves. So I'm happy to look back and put the spotlight on it again with the two of you. But that does mean that we are pulling into our final destination. That's right. It is time for us to disembark from Toonami Absolution. We want to thank you once again for talking with us about the shows that made us us and the shows that made you you. Once again, we have been your hosts. My name is Alyx.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John.
And we'll see you next time. Bang.